over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S. Cascade, passion to protect.
Today's forecast, always sunny.
Yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunny, thinking for the love. Sunny, one so true. I love you.
Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, vacation beyond belief. Book your trip now.
Jordan Wolf won't pan out.
Joe Walters is overrated.
Joey Sankey won't make it at the next level.
Fire! 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 Fire!
Hi?
We're looking for insurance.
Oh, let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at trustedchoice.com.
For over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S. Cascade, passion to protect.
Jordan Wolf won't pan out.
Joe Walters is overrated.
Joey Sankey won't make it at the next level.
Fire! 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 Fire!
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at trustedchoice.com.
For over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S. Cascade, passion to protect.
Today's forecast, always sunny.
Yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunny, thinking for the love. Sunny, one so true. I love you.
Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, vacation beyond belief. Book your trip now.
Jordan Wolf won't pan out.
Joe Walters is overrated.
Joey Sankey won't make it at the next level.
Fire! 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 Fire!
For myself, Shunsuke Hattori in goal for Japan. I just read the number wrong on his jersey.
Sometimes it's hard to see them. When you see the Australian numbers, they're almost impossible to tell an 8 from a 6.
Yeah, very, very close together. And then last night as well, the Iroquois Nation wearing the very dark with the shiny gray numbers.
Everybody wants those jerseys at the end of the tournament, I can tell you that.
They were very cool. Had a nice eagle spread across the back. Very, very neat.
Sought after their jerseys every tournament.
So Japan with another opportunity after Puerto Rico really just gave up the ball on the clear attempt. Just over 3 minutes into this matchup, nobody up on the board yet. And it's almost more fun to see how they react.
We've only seen one shot so far. Let's see if there's another one coming right here.
Tried to pass up top, but the ball was knocked out of the stick of Ken Ikegawa. Puerto Rico ball now on the clear attempt. Here's Devin Cruz.
And this is what I meant. This is where, you know, Japan loses against these athletes in terms of size. And they have to make up for it in speed. And move the ball quicker, too.
Puerto Rico now with their first offensive possession almost 4 minutes into the matchup. Japan controlling the ball so far, part of their game plan. You want to make sure you hold possession, you control the flow of play.
A lot of teams here have been playing possession game early in the game. Started pressing late.
A lot of communication from the Japanese bench. One of, if not the most important parts of the game is communication on the field, on the bench, and from the bench to the field.
They have a big advantage here because obviously speaking Japanese, the other teams have absolutely no idea what they're saying.
Speaking in code, if you will.
Definitely code. To some it looks like Morse code if it was written down. So they have that going for them. They're very organized on their bench.
Puerto Rico playing a very spread out offense so far, now driving toward the cage. Pass attempt low, intended for Steven Ramirez out of Albany. He's able to chase it down in the far corner.
Which is easy to do on this grass field. The ball rolls much slower than it would on the turf.
Ball rolls slower as the ball hit the outside of the net, but it bounces a lot higher. These fields very, very tough, very hard.
Well, they're dry. Because the one thing that Scott Nees, the director of this tournament, told us, one thing we can definitely count on 100%, there will be no rain.
No rain in the summertime in Israel. Things just stay hot and humid here. We're right on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, and it's we haven't been here yet when it's been less than 65% humidity and probably about 85 degrees outside. But even the 85 degrees doesn't seem like much, but the sun here is just so intense.
Yeah, the 30 degrees Celsius, they really don't matter as much, but the humidity is just really, and there, again, you know, Japan and Puerto Rico should both be used to that.
A good step down, hard shot. Jun Motoshita sent that one wide left of the cage. Puerto Rico brings it back in. Giles Harris with the pass.
The Japanese season runs from about August, where it's really hot and humid anywhere we go on that island.
That's firsthand experience living on the island for 3 years, right?
Yeah, and I can tell you, you do not get used to that. Anything between June 1st and 30th of September, pack the jeans back in your cupboard because you won't be needing them.
Try to make sure you're always in the AC, right?
Yeah, even that. You're standing in an air-conditioned room and hang up laundry through the window and you're sweating. So they know how to play in these conditions. They are also very used to these relatively hard fields. Most fields in Japan are much like this. Some even more, of a dirt, sandy field, less than a grass.
So not just Japan. You were telling me right before the broadcast that you have lived in at least 10 different countries you named off to me.
Yeah, there was a couple. We had England and Belgium, Japan, Germany. Originally from Slovakia. I lived in a year in the States.
Just a few.
Yeah.
Shot hard off the pipe, rolls back. Midfield's closest to it. Japan keeps possession.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to travel around, and now with lacrosse, I've been traveling also even more so, and with my job. So it's been really cool to see firsthand, how these leagues develop, how these athletes develop, and also do some sightseeing very occasionally. Mostly I spend my time at the fields.
And a decorated lacrosse official, you were pointing out the other officials here, telling me you knew just about all of them. As our first save of the day, Matthew Martinez picks one out of the air.
Yeah, I do seem to have a competitive advantage here. There's 96 officials, and I think I counted 75 I know, and the others I know of. So we're a very cute little community.
I've been here just over a week, and I haven't heard anybody else say that.
Yeah,
pretty unique. Pretty unique to know every official here at this tournament. I was looking through the list. I know one. And he probably doesn't remember me. Just taught one of my very low-level classes back in the States.
Let's see if Puerto Rico can bank on this possession. We're 11 minutes in, and we've seen 3 shots, I would say. One on the Puerto Rico end, and 2 on, 2 on the Puerto Rico end, 1 on the Japanese.
Be nice for Puerto Rico if they're able to capitalize on this first possession, well, their second extended possession down on their offensive end of the field. Millhouse with it. He comes back up top for Albyron. Now Puerto Rico very slow and methodical on offense so far.
Yeah, as I mentioned, they seem to be scouting live.
Oh, the turnaround shot off the crossbar, rebound. First goal of the game, 9.5 minutes in.
That was definitely worth waiting for. Very nice goal.
Gonzalez up on the board first. You get another look at it off the crossbar, and field awareness comes into play.
The goalie didn't seem to know where the ball went on that rebound. He knew the rough direction, but was unsure of where it actually was exactly located.
So we get 10 minutes through the first quarter. That's how long it took to get a point up on the board. And we step back for a media timeout. This is the 2018 FIL World Championships, brought to you live from Netanya, Israel.
Today's forecast, always sunny.
Yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunny, thinking for the love. Sunny, one so true. I love you.
Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, vacation beyond belief. Book your trip now.
About a minute left in the quarter break. Craig Bloom and Babs Zeleny with you, and we want to let you know that today's game is brought to you in part by Signature Lacrosse. Signature is a company built by the players for the players, focused on revolutionizing the progression of the game. Follow Signature Lacrosse on Instagram at Signature Lacrosse to stay up to date on product releases, like Magic Mesh, the longest lasting, strongest, and #1 performance mesh in the game. So 10 minutes into this matchup, Puerto Rico just barely getting one on the board after a ricochet shot off the crossbar. And it's been interesting to see how long these possessions have been for the Japanese as we get underway again, and Japan wins the next face-off. Puerto Rico can't believe the call, thought everything looked clean, and up here I did too.
Sometimes, you know, you really need to be on the field of play to have a better view, especially on the small technical fouls. You just don't see them that well from up here. Oh, and we have another one.
Illegal procedure.
So that's a substitution error. That is very, very, very unusual. I don't think I've ever seen Japan do a substitution error.
Especially this early in the game for the tournament.
No, ever,
just not
anywhere, anytime.
At all?
No.
Wow.
It just doesn't happen.
Okay.
I was just mentioning how organized their, you know, and disciplined their bench was. So when I used to referee in Japan, it just CBO there was the most boring job ever. That's the bench official for, you know, North Americans where you would use them because you had nothing to do. There was never anything happening.
Just got to watch the game from field level.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being that thing, absolutely. Yeah, they're just, I think they're very surprised too. They're talking there to the bench manager trying to clarify what exactly they got called for, but very unusual.
So Puerto Rico with the possession and chance to go up 2-0 in the first quarter on this Japanese squad. Scott Bita working with it on the ground, able to get back to his feet and keep possession.
You will notice how precise their long throws are.
Another one off the corner.
Drawing a triple team there.
All the way back to midfield, a beautiful scoop out of mid-air by Sugu. Shot scores. On the ground, gets past Martinez. Game's tied at 1.
Stick skills, absolutely essential. It was a beautiful scoop and a pass on. I believe it was scored by Wataru Tsugu, one of the more senior members on the squad.
Took a pretty big hit as he shot too.
Lucky for Puerto Rico, it was just in time with the release of the ball, so not considered late. And it was from the front, gloves together, all good. With
So
Japan, sometimes they just fly a little bit more because they're relatively light. So you
A little bit smaller, a little bit lighter.
Oh, I remember watching them play in Canada in 2010, my first Worlds, and man, I had to hand it to them. They were going in the double team and into the Canadians, and then the attackers were just literally bouncing off those double teams. But they, didn't stop. They just kept going.
Japan finishing 4th in that one, and then 2014 finishes 8th at the World Championship. And
that was the huge disappointment. In 2010, they had a very strong squad, and then they lost to Scotland in 2014 and lost their booty with spot. They were crushed.
a nice turnaround shot that time from Shiiki. Ball gets down to the end line, flag flies.
And first send-off of the game. Very surprising. Japan gets the push penalty here. So first send-off of the game, Japan. I would not have guessed that. This has been a lot of surprises in the first 14 minutes of this first quarter. Puerto Rico playing Japan.
It's nice when it's surprising, keeps things interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad to be surprised. You know, if you can expect, or if you know what the game is going to bring you, it's not as exciting. So keep surprising us. Oh,
hard shot. Rolling on the ground is Hattori, and you could see the dirt just kick up. These fields being abused. Some of these fields hosting up to 5 games per day. Another rebound opportunity for Puerto Rico. It's pushed wide left. And that one's a heartbreaker, but they get started very quickly once again. Skip pass, low to high, sails out of bounds that time from Will Ramos. Ramos actually listed as a goalie out of the University of Albany, and another look at the hard step down. Look at that dust fly.
Perfect photo op.
Back to live play is Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we've
Corey
only
Millhouse.
seen 3 shots in the first, 8 minutes, maybe 4. And now we've had 4 in a minute and a half.
Minute or so, yeah. Just under 5 left to play in the first quarter. Score's still tied at 1. Puerto Rico sharing the ball and scoring. Beautiful feed. He was calling for it.
Yeah, the Japanese defense should have seen that one coming. But maybe went into the slide to the double team a little too late.
We apologize being unable to report who scored. Listed on our roster, I don't have a number 36. I'll make sure to get that for you at the quarter break.
Luckily we have inline statistics. Maybe we can get it from there.
Puerto Rico with the face-off win. legal in international rule to carry it in the back of your stick as long as you do pop it out, or when you pass it comes out no problem. Is that correct, Babs?
That is correct. So you can pop it on the back side. You can go with it as long as you like, as long as you manage. It's going to be more accurate. There's nothing, no problem there, but it needs to come out on that first pop, on that first pass.
Seen a couple of stick checks here in the last 24 hours or so. The big one in the USA-Canada game when the ball did not come out of the stick when it was turned upside down. You heard probably about 400 or 500 people over in that stadium, an audible gasp and a couple of ohs, and just a lot of fun to watch that happen.
Yeah, well, as officials, I have to admit we do not like stick checks.
Why is that?
You know, all eyes on you, and all, it's we like to stay invisible, at least in the international game. You know, only get involved when we absolutely have to.
So
the stick check kind of draws attention.
I do have a question for you about the stick check. How come you have to go and do it at the face-off X in the middle of the field?
Because you want to be as far away from anybody else as possible.
Makes sense to me.
And that is the furthest place from, you know, anybody else on average, so that's where you do it.
So it works out well for you then.
Well, we had a goalie stick check in the 2016 U19 Worlds. That was interesting. That was a first for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine. Tough to have an illegal goalie stick, isn't it?
Well, strings. And sometimes stick checks are called to gain possession, not necessarily just to take away a goal.
Puerto Rico able to cause a turnover. Long clearing pass right to the middle of the field. Here's Cruz, brings it down. He's an LSM. Puerto Rico with the run inside on the doorstep and push back out. Good defense to stop Gonzalez from getting the turnaround shot.
So the goal scorer of the last goal was McNally, Kevin McNally. I got that for you now.
McNally again.
There you go.
Glad we know the name.
All thanks to our stats on point bench. You can look it up live.
Boy, when you can plant your feet like that, you're going to get a hard shot.
That just lasered through there. Yeah, no chance. Goalie reacted, the ball was way past the road.
Last face-off battle won by Puerto Rico. The few beforehand by Japan, and Puerto Rico able to pick up again. Devin Cruz, the LSM. He gets the ball right back on the doorstep. Long pole is stopped. Hattori with an impressive save, one-on-one with an LSM.
Japan always brings the ball quite quickly over midfield. They do have the advancement rule in Japan. One of the few different rules that they use compared to the international book. Even though it is coming to international book. Wow.
They get one back. Matsushita.
Exactly the same goal, just on the other side.
As time ticks away, the end of the first quarter, the score 3-2. Take another look at it.
Yeah, Matsushita is a known player in Japan. I would say almost one of the most experienced one of the squad. Plays for the Falcons, which is a top team in Tokyo. They're more or less all from 2 clubs in Tokyo, I have to say. Or 3, but yeah, mainly 2.
So a close connected Japanese team working their way back up. Now a 1-goal game in favor of Puerto Rico. 1 quarter in the books. We step aside. This is the 2018 FIL World Championships.
For insurance.
Let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at trustedchoice.com.
For over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S. Cascade, passion to protect.
Three to 2 the score after one. Craig Bloom and Babs Zeleny with you, taking a look at the first quarter highlights. Good play on both ends of the field. A couple of impressive saves, a couple of impressive shots. And Puerto Rico with 2 off the bar, the 1 with the rebound.
And then we hit those last 2, 1 on each end, identical. Wound it up and just lasered it in.
Set to go, quarter number 2, face-off battle underway in the middle of the field. And a good battle it is. Finally picked up by Puerto Rico. Millhouse gets down the field very quickly. Ball knocked out of the stick, but recovery by Puerto Rico. Gonzalez has it on the close side. Good defense from Kaneyama. And you can see the entire Puerto Rico offense all on the left side of the field. They don't have anybody on the opposite side.
I noticed that in the other night when they were playing Germany, they did the same thing, and I was very curious about that strategy. I have not really seen it on the other squad.
Very interesting. I haven't seen that throughout the tournament.
No, they play very much on bench side, because we were standing all on the other side where the fans are, and we didn't see much action in our end.
They do extend to the opposite side now as Steven Ramirez tries to run down the alley. He spins away when he gets stopped, has an outlet pass, a good shot, and a better save from Hattori. Get a look in at Hattori in the cage, and he stands pretty tall. Good positioning on the corners. Looks like a hockey goalie taking away angles.
Yeah, I'm wondering if hockey is not necessarily Japanese top sport, but they have extensive summer league.
Steven Ramirez again for Puerto Rico gets the ball to the middle of the field. And he runs into a little bit of trouble, one-handed flip back to his team.
You know what? He is a hockey goalie because he's out of Nagoya, and Nagoya is a stronghold of ice hockey in Japan.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's very close to where Toyota is located.
Big hit in the middle of the field, somehow able to get back up and celebrate is Corey Millhouse. He plays at Loyola. And my goodness, that was a big hit to the 18-year-old. You get another look at it.
You know what? He tripped over his own feet first, and he kind of fell into it. Now that we see it on the replay.
We get another angle to look at it. And I think you're right. He definitely fell over himself. And I guess when it was live, the hit looked a lot harder.
Yeah, if you fall into hits like that, they look high because the player is going down. But you better see how he got there first. And the officials have obviously seen that because there was an open.
So Millhouse with his first on the day gives Puerto Rico a 2-goal lead once again as the ground ball battle in the middle of the field continues.
A lot of up-ball action there.
Jose Poyer able to pick up and run away, and look at the opportunity on the doorstep, scoring. Thomas O'Connell, listed as a short stick defensive midfielder, forces Japan to call their first time out.
Probably good timing here. They need to take away that momentum. in Puerto Rico. Regroup.
Can we take another look? A beautiful find, and he is wide open on the end of the field that they don't play on.
Maybe that's what they're trying to do.
All about the mind game, right?
Yeah, convince the other team that they only play on the bench side, and then boom, from the far side it comes.
Playing the mind game, I think, is a good idea. And I also think it's a good idea to check out Signature Lacrosse. Signature is a premier equipment manufacturer on the mission to gear up the future of lacrosse with quality products that grow and enhance the sport. Learn more at signaturelacrosse.com. So a 3-goal game now. Japan needs to regroup, kind of get their feet back under them.
They do. I mean, for them, this is everything. We are at that stage of the tournament where the teams get separated into placement groups and how high they can place after this. So Japan, you know, this is it. They need to win this one to have hopes for coming back into the blue division. And they haven't really been challenged yet in this game. Maybe that plays to the advantage of Puerto Rico, who have had some at least challenging moments in the game against Germany. Germany was up by 1 goal early in the third. Probably nobody expected that, and then they came back and won. But they had challenging moments with Japan, just kind of sailed through and had a day off.
Day off makes a very big difference. Puerto Rico has not had a day off since they started playing.
Nope. It's how the pools worked out, right? We have 13 pools, where one pool ended up having 4 teams, which is the Japanese pool, and thus they got a direct buy-in and had a day off. It's weird to do a bracket for 46 teams.
The largest the tournament has ever been, 46 teams.
And will ever be, since we're going down to, surprisingly to me, 30 teams. I don't know how we do a bracket for 30 teams.
It's a little smaller than I would have expected that they would go to.
We have all guessed it would be 32 because there you can make
it makes sense
pool-wise. So I wonder what they will come up with. And what's even more interesting is how they will do the regional qualifiers. So obviously, you know, Blue Division is not only, oh my God, I'm in Blue Division, but it's also a direct qualification for the next World Championship. I believe the top 10 goes directly. And then the other ones have to go through regional qualifiers where it's not yet 100% clear how they will work. There's a proposal on the table that had been discussed this week.
It'd be interesting to see when that's released, but already excitement building for the 2022 FIL World Championships back in British Columbia.
Yeah, on the beautiful complex in Coquitlam.
Everybody happy to see that the planning already taken place. And a whistle down on the right side of the field. It's going to be a slash call.
There is not happy with that decision. He was a little surprised. Also unusual for the Japanese. They definitely never argue. I wouldn't say he was arguing, but he was asking, and that's unusual.
Clarifying.
Yeah.
Japan working it around, man up for a minute after the slash call, and a good opportunity for them to get back within 2 if they can keep things clean and get a good look on cage.
You can see some of these players, like Ikegawa, they have been on the squad in that very strong year 2010 where they finished 4th, and then the disappointment 4 years ago. A lot of long throws there.
Hiroki Ito dropped the ball, able to pick it back up. Japan somehow retaining possession, still man up for a little bit longer.
Let's see if they can bank on this.
Another flag flies. Whistle's blown, much to the disappointment of the coaching staff for Japan.
Let's see the replay on this one.
We'll see if we did have an angle on that, but for now, Japan remains man up.
My guess would have been those long poles there down in the middle. I did not see which one exactly, but they were definitely coming up a little bit more winded up than they need to be to release the ball from the stage.
And international mechanics for referees a little bit different. There's a big save by Martinez in the clear attempt for Puerto Rico. Mechanics for referees a little bit differently. Reporting from where you are on the field back to midfield and then to a bench official who reports to the scorer's table, correct?
Yes.
What's the purpose for that?
Well, you have to imagine that in many of our leagues, our benches are maybe not the best staffed. So, another whistle's there.
Puerto Rico gets their timeout up 3. Probably a good idea.
Well, the ball was under pressure there. They were definitely going to lose it, and we only have 12 minutes in the second quarter. Yeah, why not? They have 2 per half, so they take their first time out here. Hey, we're mentioning the mechanics, so since TV in most of the countries for lacrosse is not really a thing, you don't need an official reporting on camera, right? But you do need to be precise to the bench, because a lot of times there's a mom sitting, or your sister, or just a innocent bystander doing the bench. So you want to make sure that the calls get reported right, and that's how you relay. You want to make sure the field knows, your partners know, and then it goes by the trail official, so the one who's standing up more upfield.
And half the field, of course, always going to be upset with the official call made.
Most of the time, but you know what? Especially in Japan, when I first refereed there, I didn't really have much to do because a foul happened, and it's almost like the player lifted his stick up and just went off to the bench, you know, without me actually doing anything.
I gotta tell you, it's not the same in America.
I can tell you, I know. And in Europe, you know, a lot of times you have coaches who, especially with starting teams, and when you coach a little more as an official, you help them out a little more as well, where you explain things. And sometimes you have the coach from the team that just will say, you know, hey ref, yeah, I'm offside. Would not happen in the US.
Not normally, anyways.
I can't see that happening.
I mean, when I played, there was a couple of games that my father would referee, and I would still argue with him. You know he's right. He's dad, and he tells you from when you're 3 feet tall that he's always right. So you know he's always right, but you got to argue. It's part of the game back in the States.
Yeah, we know this. I'm refereeing the festival here, and we have a bunch of American kids there, and you can definitely tell. Yeah, we're much tighter on the discussions.
We like to call it passion. Puerto Rico likes to call it scoring. Anthony Azari, the attackman, up on the board.
Also a contender for best flow in this tournament. There are a couple.
Is that an official award given out at the closing ceremony?
You know what? I would not be surprised if there was. I'm not sure the award is just as good as the, you know, position MVPs, which is a beautiful watch. I think I heard something, you know, 5 figures. But yeah, we can think of something for best flow, I'm sure. An Instagram post at least. Hey, Lucy.
Maybe an Afro pick. Ground ball picked up by Puerto Rico. Really controlling the face-off X here in the second quarter as we approach our media timeout. They throw the ball away, though.
Did not capitalize on that one, and Japan had the first couple. The first 3 forward, and Puerto Rico started getting the face-offs, and they seem to have gotten them since.
And we've seen this throughout the tournament as well. Some teams take a lot of time while they're clearing the ball. Very careful, very precise. And it makes a difference that there's no rule on a timer to get across midfield or into the box.
That is correct. I mean, you have to imagine the international rules are written for everybody. So not just the 46 that are playing here, but also the couple countries. We have 60 nations playing lacrosse that are not here. And balancing the ball for some levels is just not as easy as it seems on this level right here.
Beautiful ground ball scooped up by Japan.
And the other thing is, you know, as soon as you put in a timer or a shot clock, that needs to be facilitated. That costs money. So unless you have a timer, and I believe those cost $55 in the States, an average referee in Europe makes €7.50 per game. So just to give you a little bit of perspective on...
Makes a difference. Japan very clean on their end of the field, except for that pass. Gets all the way back to midfield. Ground ball battle still underway, scooped up and dropped again. Puerto Rico able to pick it up, running away from trouble is Thomas Rodriguez, but he loses the ball again. Now almost an empty net. Quick passing. Ball gets on the ground again. Puerto Rico. We go back toward the left. Running over a man, Pages Enrique. Flag flies late. Get another look at this huge hit, just bullying his way through.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, I don't think we have a disagreement on this one. Plus the official, Matthias Figger from Germany, was right next to it actually.
Probably had the best view.
I would say so.
Enrique to the penalty box after the media break. This is the 2018 FIL World Championships, broadcast live around the world on the ESPN family of networks.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at trustedchoice.com.
For over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S. Cascade. Passion to protect.
Today's forecast, always sunny.
Yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunny, thinking for the love. Sunny, one so true. I love you.
Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, vacation beyond belief. Book your trip now.
Back just in time to get started. Japan on a man-up opportunity. Craig Bloom and Bab Zelenai with you. We'll be here till the end of this one. 6-2 in favor of Puerto Rico. Japan looking to make it 3, sailing a shot wide left.
Yeah, Wataru Tugu there. Some sloppy mistakes in there. Usually, we didn't see them happen on this team.
It's those silly mistakes that will kill a team's chances in this tournament, too.
Against the likes of Puerto Rico or roster packed with NCAA Division I experience.
Just taking a look through their roster, we see Duke, Marquette, Ithaca, Rutgers, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Albany, Pace, Maryland, Limestone, Hartford, Loyola, Cornell, Malloy. Their roster absolutely stacked with Division I players.
Yep. So the likes of Japan, anybody else playing these guys, it's the little things that you absolutely cannot afford making mistakes on.
So Puerto Rico now on their offensive end of the field. Trying to work and spin inside, getting a shot off, somehow has his control over his hands. Gonzalez from Limestone College puts it in the cage.
Beating Hattori, he did not like that. Well, he's used to it, but this one he thought he had. Really disappointed.
Gonzalez second on the day, and boy is he fired up on that replay. Watch how quickly this ball gets to the back of the net. You never even see it.
Nope. That's right. Hattori, I think, was a bit surprised where that came from.
And we're using white balls tonight on field number 4. Both coaches agree. Somebody had enough of them, so we're able to use them.
I can tell you, we hand carried them from tonight. And one of the umpires from the festivals arrived very early Saturday morning and hand carried them from Aachen, thanks to Krolak's shop. We drove them to the airport for him.
A special thanks to all of the people that hand carried and delivered white lacrosse balls to us. Been a big issue in this tournament, a very controversial point that they have been using the orange donated lacrosse balls. Very difficult to see on the camera. A couple of the teams having trouble seeing them, and especially at night, those balls just disappear.
Yeah, for night games there seems to be a color issue or paint issue. Yeah, but we brought a bunch. There's a couple more coming tonight on a similar hand carry deal.
Got to make sure you have enough, and it's got to be interesting going through TSA with them as Puerto Rico puts another one up on the board. Scott Bida. Eight to 2 now for Puerto Rico. Bida very calm, collected, happy to be helping, puts his team up by 6.
I don't know what to say. I mean, 6 goals.
Not what you expected.
No, I did expect a very tight game here.
It's not what either coach expected either.
Yeah, I definitely expected a more explosive Japan squad, as they, I'm sure, did not underestimate Puerto Rico coming into this battle here. And as I said, for them, this is everything. With rolling, called on the face-off, and Puerto Rico gets the ball.
Not a call that Japan can afford.
And impossible to see on camera because you have the official in the way, all the players, the ball buried somewhere in there in the face-off dot, do we call it?
It's a little patch of dirt right in the middle of the field.
Yeah, that's why I was struggling to find a good word for it.
There's supposed to be an X there. They just use a little dirt patch to basically guess.
Well, then you can tell that this field has seen a bunch of games. But I can tell you, I saw these fields a year ago. They look nothing like this. So a big hats down to the organizing committee here that managed to get this all prepped.
These extra fields, 4, 5, and 6, not finished and ready for play until about a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, and they've been still worked on, so Scotty's convinced the groundkeeper from the big soccer stadium here, and has a beautiful grass field, to fix these fields for him. So he's worked on them for a couple of months now. And it shows. I mean, they're in relatively good shape if you compare to what they looked like, as I said, a year ago.
Well, considering how much abuse they've taken over the last about week and a half, too.
And this is where the big guys play, right? This is the big boys play.
Right.
So field number 4 has seen many blue division battles that were not at the stadium regularly.
USA Scotland played on this field last night. USA coming away with the win in number 1.
Iroquois, Australia, I tell you, that was a match.
Very
Also,
fun to watch.
Very fun to watch. Australia very, very strong in that matchup. Did come in short, but they fought hard for it.
Iroquois is always going to be fun to watch, and it's a good atmosphere with the Aussies based on the following that they bring to every FIL World Championship.
Yeah, the Aussies have one of the, if not, I would say the biggest following in any championship. And one of the most fun for sure. They're loud, they're fun, they're yellow, you know, it's just very fun to be around.
I saw somebody at the game yesterday. He was in a onesie outfit. It even had a hood, and it was split right down the middle, green and yellow.
Yeah, you will find that these onesie outfits have taken over lacrosse communities around the world, but I can tell you who started with those, which was Team Wales, who obviously have a dragon on their flag, and they utilize that to the best of their ability. So they've had a dragon onesie for years now.
Get a look at that last goal scored by Scott Beda, and that's about as perfect execution on the quick stick that you could ask for.
Let's see what Japan comes up with after this break.
Not to discredit the Japanese following. There are plenty of them across the field from us today.
As much as you do the Australians.
No, I don't think you'll hear anybody as much as you hear the Aussies.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, but yeah, they have a pretty good following. The families are very supportive. You know, they bring their wives and their kids. As I said, it's a very experienced squad. The average age on this team is 28 as compared to the relatively young 23, 24-year-old Puerto Rico. So they have Japanese have families with them, their babies, and are being supported strongly in red today.
So Puerto Rico gets started out of the timeout. 90 seconds left in the half. Japan needs a big defensive stop and needs to get down the field and score. Score now 8-2.
They need to get on the board here. They need a goal to take into the break, into the halftime.
Puerto Rico on a 5-goal run.
And that can happen if you don't have the ball.
5 unanswered in the second quarter. 60 seconds to play in the half.
And now the stall warning. Which any international means as much that you have to stay below the restraining line. There's currently no other way to push the slow attack. Actually attacking the cage, you can only lock them in under the restraining line.
A lot of, sorry, Bev's gone. A lot of teams have a play drawn up for this type of scenario. They usually start around the 15-20 second mark or so on a play that they've drawn up for the end of the quarter, end of the half. Puerto Rico puts it into play here with 22 seconds, and they're up on the board 9-2.
Shocking score, if you ask me, at the end of this first half here. Just, yeah, we don't have another face-off, 2 seconds left, so this is it for the first half. And oh my, Japan has to do something in this halftime.
Puerto Rico on the board once again, a comfortable 7-goal lead as we send it to the half. This is the 2018 FIL World Championships live from Netanya, Israel.
Thank you.
Jordan Wolf won't pan out.
Joe Walters is overrated.
Joey Sankey won't make it at the next level.
Fire!
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a trusted choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at Trusted.
Fans, this game brought to you in part by Quorum Watches. Since 1955, Quorum has adopted creativity and boldness as its guiding principles. Quorum, the official timekeeper of the 2018 FIL World Championships. Learn more about Quorum at www.quorum-watches.com. Epic Lacrosse, the leader in technologically advanced lacrosse equipment, is proud to be the official head shift, shaft, glove, and arm protection of the 2018 FIL World Championships in Netanya, Israel. Thank you to all the teams that trusted Epic for their gear needs. Epic Lacrosse, live, play, be. Today's game also brought to you in part by Signature Lacrosse. Signature is a company built by the players for the players, focused on revolutionizing the progression of the game. Follow Signature Lacrosse on Instagram at Signature Lacrosse to stay up to date on product releases like Magic Mesh, the longest lasting, strongest, and #1 performance mesh in the game. And the last one for halftime, Trusted Choice, the official insurance partner of the 2018 FIL World Championships. Protect what matters most, from business to home, auto, and life. Trusted Choice independent insurance agents are there for you when disaster strikes. Go to trustedchoice.com to find a local agent today. Score 9-2 in favor of Puerto Rico over the Japanese squad. Still halftime here. We send it back to a break. This is the 2018 FIL World Championships.
Jordan Wolf won't pan out.
Joe Walters is overrated.
Joey Sankey won't make it at the next level.
Fire!
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a trusted choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at trustedchoice.com.
For over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S. Cascade, passion to protect.
Jordan Wolf won't pan out.
Joe Walters is overrated.
Joey Sankey won't make it at the next level.
Fire, fire, fire!
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a trusted choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at trustedchoice.com.
For over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S.
Couple of highlights from the first half as we get set for second half face-off. Craig Bloom and Bab Zelenai with you. Puerto Rico with an impressive 9-2 lead at the half. Japan looks like they haven't found their fundamentals. They can't get their feet under them.
Yeah, it's very surprising so far, this big lead to Puerto Rico. I mean, I did expect a very tight battle, and Puerto Rico being very strong. I saw them in 2 games so far. Yeah, Japan probably doesn't know what hit them. And let's see if they can come out of the halftime stronger. Milhouse there have been in the way on the subbing.
Hirschman with a good face-off win. Puerto Rico, plenty of time to get their subs taken care of. Kevin Lewis, and now a flag flies.
A flag from the bench again against Japan. This is shocking. Probably
Another
some
substitution.
sort of substitution error. Which, yeah, in the 13 years as referee, I have not seen the Japanese do a substitution error once, and now twice in this game.
Ball on the ground from a wrap shot. Goes out of bounds, and we'll get the call.
And offsides. All right. Okay. I did not see it, but I mean.
I was counting as soon as I saw the flag.
Yeah.
I didn't see anybody. I
Yeah.
wonder if somebody stepped on and back off.
Probably. I mean, it's Sven Kaiser in the bench, a Dutch official, currently residing in Norway. He officiated the most northern game in the world, above the polar circle. Very cool.
Japan head coach Yusuke Iwamoto pretty upset with his team. Couple of penalties.
Yeah. And they seem to have switched goalies too. Keisuke Ando now in the cage for Japan.
Ando seeing his first possession. Puerto Rico on the doorstep scoring is Jake Alvarez.
This is not looking good for Japan. 10-2. Now at the beginning of this third quarter.
Not what you were expecting.
Absolutely not. But it's not over yet. This is lacrosse, and you know, an 8-goal lead at halftime can disappear in thin air very, very quickly in this game.
Seen it a couple of times in this tournament alone, the comebacks.
Yeah. That's why we love this game so much. A one-on-one with a save there. And Japan manages to pick up the ball and is pushing it fast up. They need to get on the board here.
Ando with a good clearing pass. And Japan gets down to their offensive end of the field. Took 3 minutes in the second half for them to get a possession at all. Will Ramos now in the goal for Puerto Rico, so both teams making the change at half.
And if you're wondering why it sounds so exciting up here, that's the field next door to us where we have Netherlands playing Poland, and it is 6-6. A very hard-fought battle in the fourth quarter.
About 15 minutes left to play in that game. You can also catch that and the rest of the games from the FIL World Championship on the ESPN family of networks. As a great backhanded shot in our game from Matsushita goes wide of the cage. Japan, quick restart.
We've seen quite a lot of action from the more senior team members on this Japanese squad. Let's see if the youngsters can come up with something to get Japan on the board.
Quick stick attempt at the top of the crease. Pass was intended for Sekina. Chasing it all the way back to midfield, and now getting things set up once again is Iwano. Iwano from the sideline, all the way in. Takes the ball back to X. Japan with a pretty good drawn up play, it looks like.
Watch the footwork on this. He draws a double team. Still has the ball.
Somehow holding on to the ball is Sekina. And Japan taking plenty of time.
And that sound was not from our field. That is Poland scoring. No, Netherlands scoring, I'm sorry. So they're up by 1 now. We want some of those here. Come on, Japan, show us.
I think we'll get that if Japan starts clawing their way back into this one. Mounting an 8-goal comeback in front of a good Japan crowd across the field would be a lot of fun.
It definitely would be. I want that. So let's see what they can come up with here. I mean, they've been holding that ball very steadily in the last 2 or 3 minutes almost. It's a long possession.
Shihike gonna try to wrap up to the front. Has an open man. Ball got knocked down before it got to the crease, and Puerto Rico able to pick it up. Quickly down to the other end of the field. Bit of a fast break opportunity. Wrap shot sails wide coming from Christopher Morales. Japan closest to it when it went out, brings it back in. And on the close side, it's Yoshida with the ball. And carrying the 6-foot pole, he comes across midfield, dumps the ball back, a bit of a dangerous pass.
Yeah, there was a big risk there, but luckily for them, they managed to pick it up and continue pressing on the Puerto Rico goal. Much more than at all in the first half, really. Boom. Oh, that. Sorry, I got a little bit excited here, but that was a beautiful goal.
Babs with the call. I was going to just step back and let you have it.
I mean, that's a beauty. Look at that replay there.
Take a look at what happened
on that pass. And to Sekine. I was gonna say I want to see something from Sekine. He's the
How about a goal?
He's been on the squad for quite some time. One of the leaders. And he shows up here and puts Japan back into play.
Giles Harris now off of the face-off. With a 7-goal lead, he brings it back to the attacking end of the field. Passes off to Kevin McNally. Bit of a hidden ball attempt. McNally still with it.
Yeah, they won't go for it. There, I would be surprised if they did.
Now up at the top is Gonzalez. Gonzalez and Albaran playing a game of catch. No sense of urgency for Puerto Rico, nor does there need to be with a 7-goal advantage.
They are certainly not in a hurry, but I don't think they will be let much longer. You do need to at least make it look like you're going to goal.
Gonzalez has the ball knocked out of his stick. Now ground ball battle. 3 white jerseys behind the cage there to pick it up.
Yeah, Umehara had no chance there on that triple team.
Teams practice man ball 1-on-1. They practice 2-on-1. 3-on-1, a little different.
It's also one of the younger ones on this team, 22 years old, Umehara from Tokyo.
Kevin Lewis now for Puerto Rico. Behind the back pass. Great shot. Sails out of bounds from Beta.
Yeah, Sunagawa did try to go for it to get the ball for his team.
Here's Kevin McNally. He fakes the pass, now flips the ball up for Justin Albaran.
It's raining goals next door. We heard 3 in the last 2 minutes or so.
I think that's playing mind games with our teams.
Maybe.
Here's Albaran with a run toward the goal. Tough angle. Puerto Rico keeps possession. Can hear the communication from Puerto Rico's bench. Coach says, we're gonna yell slow. Ready, 1, 2, 3, and the entire bench yells slow. Shot sails out of bounds. We're under 10 minutes. That sends us to immediate timeout. Live from Netanya, Israel, it's the 2018 FIL World Championships. Puerto Rico leads Japan 10-3.
Jerusalem, Tel Aviv. Vacation beyond belief. Book your trip now.
Jordan Wolf won't pan out.
Joe Walters is overrated.
Joey Sankey won't make it at the next level.
Fire!
Fans, our game today brought to you in part by 3D Lacrosse. With 15 markets across the United States, 3D Lacrosse is America's premier provider of lacrosse training and player development services, including box field hybrid training, select travel teams, team tournaments, recruiting showcases, leagues, and more. Visit 3dlacrosse.com today. Puerto Rico with a 10-3 lead over the Japanese squad. They have looked very, very clean, and time of possession has been the name of this game.
Yeah, and Puerto Rico has had the ball for most of it in the first half. After, you know, the start for Japan actually didn't look that bad. They had the first 3 face-offs and were on the ball, and then it kind of just, after the first goal.
Just missing the ball is Ando in cage. Puerto Rico tacks on number 11.
Kanayama almost had it. The defensive long pull there, but it did roll in. Very unlucky for Japan.
Here's another look, just putting it on the ground. Kevin McNally with number 2 on the day. Number 3, excuse me, so the hat trick for him.
Japan is, I don't know.
Not
I don't
happy.
even know not happy.
Not
I don't
happy.
even know what to tell you, because definitely not something anybody expected.
These teams playing for the opportunity to play a blue team tomorrow.
They are playing for the opportunity to play against the Iroquois Nationals, which is, to be honest, probably a bigger goal for most of the teams here than the gold medal game. Most of the teams here, they play for the opportunity to play the Iroquois. They want to be on that field of play with these players that just play magical lacrosse. You know, it's beautiful to watch. Nobody plays like them. It's and the whole story behind it, and them being the creators of the game, it's just everybody wants to play them.
They sing a song while they play lacrosse, and it's a harmony and a melody all the way through the 80 minutes of play.
It's beautiful, and everybody wants to be a part of this at least once, and most of the teams, I would argue, are really here to do just that. And the beautiful thing is, you know, the Iroquois, they're very down to earth. They communicate with fans all the time. They ride the shuttles back to their hotel. They don't have their own bus. They mix and mingle, and they don't mind, you know. They're just there, and if people want to talk to them, take pictures with them, they're perfectly fine with it. Unlike some others.
I don't know what you mean. Everybody is just so nice around here.
That is true. We have a very nice lacrosse community here in Netanya, Israel, just about an hour north of Tel Aviv.
A beautiful area that we're in, right on the coast of the Mediterranean.
This is where the Israelis come on vacation, I was told. And last year when we first visited here, it was pretty busy with Israeli families.
And yet
Japan.
here we are working, Babs.
We are working. Ooh, and so is Japan. And finally, they put another one on the board, now making it 11-5.
Shahiki,
Yeah.
he's
All
up
right.
on the board now.
We're
Score
back in the
11 to
game here.
4.
We're
Don't
back in
call
the
it a
game.
comeback.
11-4, sorry. But carried away. But yeah, 2 goals in
Folks, you
less
heard it
than
right
3
here
minutes.
first. Babsell and I says, don't call it a comeback. Japanese clawing their way back into this game.
We will see what happens, but it's definitely looking brighter than 3 minutes ago. And Japan fighting for the ball here.
Good ground ball battle off the face-off. Ball rolls out of bounds. Referee awards to Puerto Rico. Babs doesn't agree.
I didn't say anything. I don't know what you mean.
So here's Japan with the opportunity, and a good one at that. Maybe build a little bit of momentum if they can put another one in the cage with 7 minutes left to go here in the third.
Plenty of time, but you do see the sense of urgency on Team Japan, which we are used to. This is what it looks like when Japan plays. You know, they have the quick footwork, quick passing. The slow play we've seen in the first half, that's not common for them. This is what they play like.
Iwano with the drive-in shot. Gotta watch the rebound. Beautiful spin on the inside that time from Ikegawa. Puerto Rico able to recover And Giles Harris with it. Aaron pass picked up by Japan after it found the grass. Good defense by the offense for Puerto Rico. Japan resets behind the cage.
You definitely see Japan working hard for a comeback, continuing to pressure, but not, you know, they do wait for a clear opportunity. They don't want to lose the ball here.
Shihiki starts things from the close corner. Japan, a little trouble passing. Getting down, finding the 5-hole and the nylon. Hiroki, Kanaiwa.
And now we have the 11-5.
Now it is 11-5. Japan with a little bit of momentum.
Definitely a different ball game than 10-2.
Get another look. And just able to find it. Will Ramos can't adjust in time. Take a look again. Right through the legs.
Yep, he even confirmed. Couldn't believe it that went through. Now Puerto Rico with the ball.
Quick face-off win. And Puerto Rico wants to slow things down. Kevin McNally says, we'll take a break. 4:40 ticking away on the game clock here in the third quarter. Puerto Rico with a 6-goal lead.
You can definitely hear the excitement on that field. It's much louder coming from down there than it was in the first half. But Puerto Rico still doesn't have any sense of urgency, even though, you know, Japan put on 3 quick ones on the board.
This team happy to be here representing Puerto Rico at these World Games. Virtually no lacrosse played on that island. They're trying to get something started over on the West Coast and slowly expand it to the rest of the island. But the reason for most of these players coming from D1 programs, their parents, grandparents were born on the island, makes them eligible.
Big controversy in international lacrosse, having teams loaded with so-called heritage players.
Beautiful goal that time. Kevin Lewis behind the back. I don't think he ever looked at it.
Heritage or not, that was a beautiful lacrosse goal, independent from where that came from.
Gotta be able to appreciate it. Lewis with number 2 on the day, and he never peeked at the goal and found the 5-hole.
He didn't even peek at the ball. He was just kind of looking straight at his teammate, passing that to him, and didn't change his look at all, burying that ball in Japan's cage, making it 12-5.
Under 3 minutes left to play in the third. Japan with a quick face-off win. They get down the field, and would imagine we'll start to see some of that quicker offense that you were talking about, Babs.
I certainly hope so. Oh, we have another flag coming from the bench. So we have another substitution foul. I think that's more flags I've seen from the bench this game that I have seen all tournament so far.
Foul called on Jared Hirschman, the face-off man for Puerto Rico. Must have done something wrong when he came back to the bench after losing the face-off.
Yeah.
So a 30-second opportunity for the Japanese, and they'll definitely get a shot. Ball's pushed out of the way after Sugu got a nice sidearm shot on it. Japan, again, starts up pretty quick.
They need to bank on every opportunity they get here.
Ball out of bounds, awarded back toward Puerto Rico. Goalie closest to it, Will Ramos. Happy to be standing where he was.
Yeah, Japan asking for a deflection on that one. Ikegawa was convinced it went off a Puerto Rico stick.
We're back to all even strength. Puerto Rico with a good penalty kill. Japan gets 2 shots off. Neither one of them connects with nylon.
But Sakina make a good attempt there. A player very capable of playing in any position on this field.
60 seconds left in the quarter. Puerto Rico slowing things down. McNally's got the ball on the far side of the field.
Coach drawing up the next play down there. I can see from here. He's getting ready for the next timeout.
Now, if you're Puerto Rico, I would think that you'd want to keep the ball up toward midfield outside the box to avoid being told to keep it in.
Hey, you can be told to keep it in even if you're on your goal end. Well, in that case, you will be told to get it in. We've seen that happen. Some teams are known to be slow on the clears, and to speed them up a little bit, you can do that. I have not seen it yet in this tournament.
10 seconds on the clock now in the third. Puerto Rico got to start something if they're going to go. Wraparound shot gets pushed back to the end line. Ando able to stand in there tall. 12-5. How the third quarter comes to an end. Japan has 20 minutes to score 7 and not let any in.
And next door to us, 9-7 now for the Netherlands. A very excited game.
24 seconds left in that game. 20 minutes left in ours. We step aside. This is the 2018 FIL World Championships.
Jordan Wolf won't pan out.
Joe Walters is overrated.
Joey Sankey won't make it at the next level.
Fire!
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at Trusted Choice.
Honig's is proud to be the official provider of game day apparel for referees at the 2018 FIL World Championships. Founded in 1984, Honig's is the right call for all referees, umpires, and officials across all sports in the United States and around the world. For more information, visit Honig's.com. Honig's, the right call for over 30 years. The game behind us concludes. Netherlands come away with a 9-7 victory. We have 20 minutes left to play. A 7-goal deficit for Japan to overcome. Craig Bloom, Bab Zelenai will be here till the final whistle. And Puerto Rico, at this point, looks like they might be the ones celebrating during it.
Well, yeah, at this stage, it definitely looks that way. 7 goals is not impossible. It is doable, and if somebody can do it, then Japan is one of those squads that can. But you need the ball to do that. And currently it doesn't look that way because Puerto Rico has control of the ball and will probably do everything they can to keep it on their end and slow this down, run as much time off the clock as they possibly can.
Japan now putting a little bit of pressure on the outside as Puerto Rico passes around. We haven't really seen that from them so far this evening.
That is true. They started a little bit in the third quarter there where they had a lot of good action and then managed to put 3 goals on the board. And the officials are moving into position for a stall warning, which will come on any second would be my guess. They just want to see how this plays out. Rolling the crease. Something like a shot.
Officials call it a shot.
Well,
and we'll
we
just
don't
go
judge
with
how
it
good
from
or bad a
Gonzalez.
shot is. Even a bad shot's still a shot. And it was sort of an attempt to score, even though with that angle you wouldn't, but you never know.
Ramirez now working with it for Puerto Rico. Doing his best in the double team. Has the ball knocked away. A couple of extra hits and a flag flies. Not what Japan needs.
Definitely not. So Japan will be man down for a minute.
Hatatiyama into the penalty box. 1 minute man-up opportunity for Puerto Rico. Do you make an attempt at the cage here, or do you just waste time?
Probably. And it's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't feel too comfortable, even though it's a 7-goal lead and they have had it strongly in their hands. But we've seen other teams, you know, lose a lead like that. Most famously, at the under-19s 2 years ago, Canada, in the gold medal game, had a 7-goal lead at halftime and managed to lose that game to the U.S.
Japan now on the clear opportunity. Gonna work the ball back down to their end of the field, and we've seen them take their time on clears. This time not the same. Japan very quick to get the ball down to the other end of the field. Tsugu was all over this half.
You can feel how bad they want this. But the sloppiness is still there, less so than in the first half.
Japan, some quick passes all around the crease. A good shot taken that time from Sakina. It's picked off in the air by Will Ramos, and Puerto Rico will take their time getting down the field. They've already killed 4 minutes in this final quarter.
Japan is slowly running out of time. They really need to get the ball back here. Every second off the ball in a Puerto Rico stick is a second less for Japan to even this out. And yeah, Puerto Rico is certainly taking their time. And another substitution error. This time by Puerto Rico.
I've never seen so many bench fouls in one game before.
I have to admit that I probably haven't either.
Japan looked like they were going to have a great opportunity, had numbers down on their end of the field. Can't get in a position.
Now Kanaya on the ball.
Kanaya with a running shot. Kanaya up on the board.
Kanaya, only 3 years of lacrosse experience. He only started playing lacrosse 3 years ago, bringing down the average of Japan to only about 10 years of lacrosse, you know. Usually the Japanese players start playing lacrosse once they're hit college. They're starting to build up high school now, but it has not yet caught up. They're very big on college. They have a lot of universities starting up lacrosse programs. But it's really not until they're 18, 19 years old that they pick up a stick. And that was the same in Kanaya's case, who's 21, so he was 18 when he first started playing lacrosse, which I would argue, even though I don't have the numbers for Puerto Rico, looks very different on their end. With all this NCAA experience, that's probably how much NCAA experience they have compared to, you know, a lacrosse experience overall.
It makes a big difference when you have the opportunity to be on the field, on a practice field every single day as an NCAA player versus what a lot of these countries have, which isn't necessarily a grass field.
That is also true, and a lot of times, you know, it's all club ball in most of these countries. I mean, Japan has college ball and they have club ball. All these players are now in clubs out of college, but you know, if you look at Europe, you maybe have 10 games a year, and that's it, really. So you do not practice every day. You do not have a game every weekend. You do not have a bench full of coaching staff, and what you certainly don't have is new equipment every year. You have to earn that and buy it yourself, you know. So I remember when I saw kids that I refereed when they were maybe, you know, starting up and bought their first helmet from their own money. And that look on their face, you know, that they had their own gear that didn't smell like somebody else was priceless.
Making your own gear smell like your own sweat, something very special that we take for granted.
Yes. Yeah, Puerto Rico definitely controlling the game. And not giving much room for Japan to take the ball away, but Japan is pressing it. You can hear a lot of navigation from the bench. They do tell their players to go out of their way further than they usually do. Yeah, the Puerto Rican fans did not like that one, but it was perfectly fine from what I can tell.
Ball knocked down on the pass attempt to get it back up to the top. And Ando runs away with it.
Yeah, Kanayama made that intercepting play.
Both these teams
Let's
play
see.
again tomorrow as Japan gets back up on the board. It's Jun Motoshita.
So the winner of this gets to play Iroquois, if I'm not mistaken.
They get to play on Wingate Field 1, which is the bigger stadium here at the
fields are the
Wingate
same.
Institute.
The fields are the same size, it's just a bigger...
The stadium.
Yeah, stadium, yeah. Yeah, so the big game against the Iroquois, the one game that one really dreams of when you're a lacrosse player, that's what you work towards to. And unless you're USA or Canada, that's what you work towards to more than the gold medal game itself.
Flag flies on the face-off attack. Loser of this game also plays tomorrow. The winner plays at 6. Loser plays at 9:45 back here on this field.
Independent of that, if Puerto Rico was to play the Iroquois, in that game, it actually would not make a difference who wins or loses, because Puerto Rico cannot advance to the semifinals as an associate member of the FIL. They cannot contend for a medal. So they do get to play the Iroquois if they win this match, but they cannot advance to the semifinals.
That's a very big deal.
That is a huge deal, because being an associate member of the FIL rather than a full member is per design for new and upcoming lacrosse programs. So nobody anticipates the teams being this good. But as we had the topic before, you know, having a more heritage design team, you do have all this experience on this team that is very unprecedented for an associate member.
Japan, a couple of good shots. A flag flies in the far corner.
And now a man up for Japan, giving them an opportunity to reduce their gap by another goal with 11 minutes to go, and now it's 12-7. This is a completely different ball game than just 10 minutes ago.
And that's what I was just going to say. If they can get another one up on the board, it's only a 4-goal game with 10 minutes left to play.
4 is nothing. And don't forget, we have this last 3 minutes that are stop clock. A lot can happen there. That can be just a boom, boom, boom. Off a face-off. Sakina there.
Ramos,
a little too late.
Ramos able to scoop up the ground ball as it got knocked loose. Puerto Rico, of course, wants to waste some time, but Japan is going to make them work for it if that's what they really want to do.
Puerto Rico now knocked down by Hashimoto. Japanese defense sliding into a triple team. They don't need any more goals against them, that's for sure. They've seen enough with 12 goals so far. Oh, risky.
All the way out of the cage, trying to scoop up the ground ball is Ando. He's got to retreat back in, but Japan able to take control.
Lucky for Ando, he did risk a lot there, but hey, they came up with the ball, so I guess why not?
It looked like 2 separate times. He wasn't sure if he had the ball or not, if he had left it behind. And if he had left it behind that first time, Puerto Rico was going to go up again.
Then it would have been too late anyway. Oh.
Looked like an offsides call right here in front of us. But a media timeout instead, so we step away for the final time. A 5-goal game, just under 10 minutes left to play. This is the 2018 FIL World Championships from Netanya, Israel.
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a trusted choice independent agent is free to shop around to find you a better deal. Free to do what's right for you. Find an agent at trustedchoice.com.
For over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S. Cascade. Passion to protect.
Today's forecast, always sunny.
Yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunny, thinking for the love. Sunny, one so true. I love you.
Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, vacation beyond belief. Book your trip now.
9:31 on the clock, a 5-goal game. Japan showing a little bit of life here late in the game. In the second half, they've put up 5 goals.
I would say too much of a surprise to Puerto Rico. And they were relaxing there. As soon as they had the ball, they slowed it down and held it. Not really looking like they were even attempting to shoot it and, you know, advance their lead. Maybe regretting that decision right about now. Because, yeah, a 5-goal game is a different ball game.
Here's Millhouse all the way up top by the center line. He goes to the far side of the field and cuts back. He's guarded by Umahara.
Yeah, this will not take long for the officials to call a stall warning, is my guess. Because, oh, come on, don't, you know. I do not like that.
Nearly had his helmet taken off.
Well, he definitely made that look like it more so.
So stall warning does come on, but a feed right in front of the crease to a wide open Kevin Lewis.
Yeah, those are tough. I mean, goalie was all alone there. Japan was playing out wide, which at this point is probably what you want to do. You need to press the ball to get it back, get it on the other end, and hopefully minimize that gap. Now they're back to a 6-goal differential with 13-7. We still have 7:50 to go. In lacrosse, still plenty of time. I'm confident.
Puerto Rico's first goal in the fourth quarter as a quick face-off win coming down the field is Hirschman. Puerto Rico does get a timeout. And they want to talk about how they're going to play keep away.
Yeah.
Can you replay the goal, please?
So let's see what the play will be here from Japan. I mean, they have a little over 7 minutes, 7.5 to go. 6 goals.
And taking a look at this last goal, you can just see how wide open Lewis is standing on the crease. A little bit of technical difficulty, but here we go. Here's a good look. Look how wide open he is. There's no one within 15 feet of him.
No, he was all alone there. I mean, goalie was in good position, but I mean, if you have an attacker right in front of you like that, chances are very, very slim. The lacrosse cage is pretty wide and pretty big. There's always space to be found. And these guys are precise. It's probably all they do all spring, right? It's play ball, so.
For the most part, yeah. And study. We can't forget the studying.
You're right.
Student athlete.
You're right.
Getting started again, and a quick double team from Japan causes a turnover. They get back down the field. Matsushita with a good pass and then a strong shot. Puerto Rico awarded the ball. 7:10 left on the clock.
And the clock is running in international play, so you really don't want to waste any seconds in this case. Yeah, the Japanese are getting a little bit nervous. You can tell from the bench. Usually when they get higher pinched, that's how you can tell that they're not as calm as they usually are. The crowd still here supporting. But it's not looking good for Japan, I have to say.
Albaran has the stick helicoptered out of his hand. Matsushita with a wonderful takeaway, and then he just tosses the ball away.
And this is what we have been saying. We did not expect these pretty small kind of mistakes that then mean so much. I mean, losing possession at this stage of the game in a 6-goal gap, you just cannot afford doing that. And I don't think I've ever seen Japan make so many mistakes on technicalities. I was even... Yeah, it's definitely out. I don't know what that was.
Interesting decision from Will Ramos to just toss that ball up in the air to the other end of the field.
Yeah, well, also runs down time off the clock. Not saying he did it on purpose, but who knows? Because now we're down to 5.5, and you know, a 6-goal lead is starting to look pretty damn good to Puerto Rico.
Milhouse gets the ball back after a good bounce pass. Ball gets knocked away. It's going to go in the direction for Japan.
And out of bounds from the official. The officials in this case count as part of the field. So whoever touched it before, same rules apply.
Hashimoto now for Japan.
We didn't really see any, you know, big fouls in this game at all. Not that I would have expected them from Japan, but Puerto Rico more so.
Really just the one big hit that took place at midfield.
Yeah. And other than that, there was really nothing. There was that one where he fell into it that ended up being nothing because he just tripped over his own feet and fell into that. Okay, Japan now with a goal.
Sugu
13-8.
gets it back to a 5-goal game.
And again, with 4.5, a 5-goal game is something else. If they can maybe do 1 or 2 more here, then maybe Puerto Rico will start getting nervous.
It's his second on the game, the only player for Japan to have 2.
Yeah, Japan has a very wide squad in this sense. They rarely have one goal scorer who just takes it all, unlike some other teams, but they really spread it out. And they play like a team with very little individual actions. Or they just go one-on-one alone. That's not Japanese culture. That's not what they do.
Winning the face-off battle and getting the ball back is the Japanese squad. They're trying to work with it down in the attacking end of the field with 3.5 minutes left to play. Last 3 minutes, as Babs mentioned, stop time.
You can hear the Puerto Rico squad with their non-Spanish calls. I don't think I've heard them speak Spanish at all.
I can't say that I have either. Japan with a couple of quick shots. Still working toward the cage.
You have to hand it to Puerto Rico. Their defense here is working and successfully.
They get the takeaway, and Darren Greenidge able to grab the ball, and Puerto Rico gets it back down to their end of the field. It's time to seriously play keep away and waste time off the clock, since
I'm
we're
sure
in
they
stop
will.
time now.
Japan with a 10-man ride. I've seen a lot of 10-man rides since I got here last week, which is pretty cool.
Fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. Getting the goalies in on the action outside of their crease. I love it. And successful. Japan with the ball.
Yeah, they forced the turnover, 2:04. Have to make very quick work if they want to make sure they're in this game. Japanese faithful on the far side of the field, still supportive. And Japan does make quick work. Seiya Natsume.
Making it 13-9. So we're back to a 4-goal game. Yeah, 4-goal game. Sounds good. Definitely better than what we had, 10-2.
Could be a lot worse, right? see he's pretty fired up after scoring the 8th goal for the Japanese squad. 1:51 up on the clock.
Yeah, and Puerto Rico is getting nervous, taking their timeout. I believe the second in this half.
Probably just to make sure everybody is staying calm.
I would guess so. I mean, what do you do at this point if you're Japan? You know, this is the big game. If this doesn't happen, then the dream of the Blue Division is gone. And they have 1:51 left. They need to score 4 goals and don't get scored against to make it at least into overtime, if not win in regulation. I wouldn't want to beat them right now, but I'm sure they can handle it. They're very calm, as I mentioned. They're an experienced squad, which plays for them. They've been in games like these before. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, their keeper that they have in right now, Ando, one of the younger ones, they swapped him out from Matsushita earlier in the game. Probably a good call. I mean, if you get scored on that much, it's just in your head also. So sometimes it has less to do with your ability inside that cage and more with where your mental state is, and you're so alone there.
No, I agree with you. And fans, we got to let you know that today's game is brought to you in part by Cascade Lacrosse. Cascade, the #1 helmet in lacrosse, and is proud to be the official helmet of the 2018 FIL World Championships. See more by following Cascade Lacrosse on Instagram. Cascade Lacrosse, a passion to protect. Japan picks up the face-off, a ground ball. Ball on the ground, interference called, turnover. Japan grabs it back after Puerto Rico had it.
1:45 to go, 1:40 to go roughly. 13-9, and Japan fighting hard. Yeah. Kanaya again. He already scored 1.
Japan, hands free. Good bounce shot from Oba.
Oh, and recovered.
A great save from Will Ramos.
Yeah.
The long pass to Giles Harris. He's going to slow it down. 60 seconds to glory for Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico gets to play the Iroquois. That big game. And I mean, that will be just a fun game to watch because Puerto Rico has nothing to lose, literally. Because even if they do lose, it doesn't matter. If they win, it doesn't matter in terms of advancement. As we mentioned before, they cannot advance into the semifinals as an associate member of the FIL. And they score to secure the position to play the Iroquois for that very fun matchup. And just see what happens.
Once again, Gonzalez. Gonzalez puts number 3 for the day on the board, makes this a 14-9 game with 34 seconds left on the clock.
I guess it must be fun to be in a game where, you just play for the fun of it.
Just play to play.
Play to play and play against a team like the Iroquois.
Should be able to learn a lot from that game.
Yeah, would be pretty cool.
Playing without a stick called at midfield. It's a tough call to make when the stick is laying on top of the ball.
Yeah, that is actually accurate. So you can either have a withholding or a playing without the stick. Either way, you're going to lose the ball. Technical foul either way. So
Puerto Rico gets the ball back down to their attacking third of the field as the final 10 seconds tick off the clock. Babs, your final thoughts on tonight's game?
I am speechless a little bit, I have to admit. I did not expect this from Japan. I was convinced that this was going to be a tight game. I didn't think that Puerto Rico will hand it to Japan, but I also didn't think that they will, build up such a big lead, and then really Japan had at no point in the game a chance where they showed us that they're the better team on this field. they must be heartbroken. I don't know what to tell you.
Heartbroken Japanese squad takes their first loss of the tournament. Puerto Rico fired up, staying undefeated. They win this one 14-9. That's all we've got for you here from Wingate Field number 4 in Netanya, Israel. This has been a production of the 2018 FIL World Championships. For our entire production crew, Bab Zell and I'm Craig Bloom, saying goodnight from Netanya.
For you. Find an agent at trustedchoice.com.
For over 30 years, Cascade has been the most trusted helmet in lacrosse. Introducing the Cascade S. Cascade. Passion to protect.